We're back. Welcome back, guys. Hey, it's Mike Frank with Berkshire Hathaway, Frank Oliver and Company, coming to talk to you guys a little bit about why to hire a realtor, right? Like, why would a buyer choose to work with a realtor instead of going direct to the listing agent? Or why would a seller choose to hire a realtor rather than selling their home to a friend or a family member, neighbor, right? So occasionally, selling the house to the neighbor makes sense, but typically, it's not really your ideal clientele. What we want to do is we want to figure out what the best use of your time is and save you the most opportunity, right? Before we run down that road, I wanted to come with you a little bit to teach you about last year's market stats. Hey, go away, phone, right? So last year's market stats, we found out that Baltimore housing had increased by 20% over the last 5 years, which I don't think surprises anybody. And last year, we had a 7% increase over 2019. So we're seeing a lot of traction, and people are thinking, well, it's COVID time and I shouldn't buy or sell my house. But hey, by the way, there's great opportunity. And for those people that bought with me in the early stages of my career, 7 and 8 years ago, man, those people are looking at $100,000, $150,000 in market appreciation just from owning their home. I mean, they didn't do anything, and they're thinking about getting ready to list their home in the coming months. As you guys are considering it, remember that our market is seeing dramatic pricing increase. And while you may be afraid of what might be a crash, we can always fear. But in the end of the day, you've got to go with statistics. And the hard and fast says that we've grown by 20% over the last 5 years. Just a thought, right? So why would somebody hire a realtor? Well, the first thing is money. We're trying to protect your best investment. We want to make sure that you have the most opportunity, and we want to make sure that you save every penny that you can. At the same time, we have to get paid, we have to earn opportunity, and that makes sense for everybody, I think, but ultimately there's a big thing that people don't realize. First of all, sellers typically pay buyer's agent's commission, and if they don't pay all of it, they pay the majority of it. So typically when you're buying a house, your buyer's agent is going to come at a much lower cost, if any, to a buyer in the market, and why wouldn't you want somebody to protect your interests? But if you're a seller, people often think, well, I could do it myself. I have my history as a real estate agent. I used to be an agent. My mom's an agent. My dad's an agent, whatever their excuse is. But typically, sellers are seeing 10 to 30% left on the table when we look statistically over the last 30 years. Right? That's straight out of National Association of Realtors. You can get the information right on Realtor.com. So it's not far-fetched to believe that this is good content. 10% is a lot of money. When you're selling a $300,000 house, you're saving 30 grand. What if you're selling a $300,000 house and you're giving up 25%? What if you're giving up 30? I mean, now we're talking about coming up to $100,000 that you're leaving on the table. Potentially a real estate agent could have gotten you 375. Potentially a real estate agent could have gotten you into a multiple offer situation or exposed your home to a bigger market or a wider share. Dare we say someone coming from overseas or someone traveling from across the country. We're creating a market that doesn't exist for a for sale by owner opportunity. And ultimately, we're working hard where you're at work every day listing your house for sale by owner. You can't give it the experience and the opportunity to have the conversations to cultivate that market share. So first of all, money. And if that wasn't a big enough details, right? The second reason that you should really hire a real estate agent is to have somebody that knows exactly what's going on. And maybe somebody that can just calm the waters. Understanding that not every single thing in every single transaction is the end of the world, but being able to come to my clients and say, hey, guys, let's not focus on that right now. Let's work on the other details of the contract. Let's focus on these things so we can protect your investment. We have a client right now that just unfortunately found out that they didn't have interest in buying their home. And they came to me and they said, well, what do we do? And I said, well, let's take advantage of the details of the contract, ensure that we protect you, and create the opportunity for you guys to succeed while we're investing in your long-term future. Because the details of the contract are those fine things that I know and they don't. And I had hoped to believe that that's why they're coming back to us for the third time. Very, very thankful for them and for the opportunity, but ultimately it starts with understanding the details of a real estate transaction and what all goes into it, right? If that wasn't enough, just having somebody on your side, just having somebody that says, hey, person, right? We'll call them Liv and Chris because she's right here with me. So, hey, Liv, this is what I think is the best thing for you. Or I see you and Chris finding frustration throughout the process. Maybe I can help you in this way. And you can approach the situation differently because we're trained and knowledgeable in the experience of a real estate transaction, something that people do once every 7 years statistically. Having somebody that can just be on your side and support your objective is really incredibly valuable. The second part of that is having somebody that you trust. It's such a big thing. You can hire your friend's cousin's real estate agent, right? A Christian, right? If anybody watched my comedy skit, you can hire your friend's cousin or whatever. But in the end of the day, if you don't trust that they are on your side and they've got your back, you're going to be left out in the cold. Go back to our clients that just had this discovery over the weekend. The very first thing they did was call me and they said, hey, we trust you. We have this experience and we wanted to talk to you about it before we made any rash decisions up, down, left, or right. So having someone that you trust is incredibly empowering, right? Creating the opportunity that you can feel good about going to work and they're going to do all of the work to protect your investment. At the same time that you're going to go and look at houses and they're not going to coerce you to buy something that you didn't want in a neighborhood you couldn't want, or maybe at a price point that you couldn't afford. Maybe having somebody that you trust and somebody at your side is just saying, hey, Liv and Chris, you guys told me that you wanted to spend less than $2,000 a month, and this monthly payment comes up to about $2,175. Before we go running at this house, is that something that you're comfortable with? Because ultimately, we're on your side. We're not just here to sell. We're here to make sure that you have a great experience. And creating that trust is the very first thing that we do in the real estate transaction to create your success, whatever that might look like. So if it's a contractor, if it's a painter, if it's an accountant. I just had a conversation with a past client last week about potential support for his business that he's creating. And he looks at us and says, well, hey, you guys are doing X, Y, and Z. What do you do for this? And we're able to give him the value. The resources that we can create and the network that we build is just tremendous. I think that all of the agents that we work with have great, tremendous resources that are above and beyond anything that you can find out online. And just having that extra little bit for such a very minor expense is one of those things that just supports your goal in protecting your long-term investment. Ultimately, Henry Ford said that the way to know that someone is smarter than they look is when they hire people that are more capable and more powerful than they are. The trick is recognizing when you found the right person, when you need that support, and when that person can fill the void to support your overall objective. So ultimately, give us a call. When you guys are ready to buy or sell, we're always here for you. Look forward to talking to you next week. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe for weekly content. Also, check out our social media pages. The links are in the description below. See you next week.